Good afternoon, and welcome to this episode of the AdDrop Podcast. As we continue our spin through the world of college athletics, I am pleased to be joined by the Director of Athletics for Catholic, Kevin Robinson Jr. Kevin, how you doing today?
Fantastic. We just got off a nice Elite Eight run by our men's basketball team, so it was a good last couple of weeks for the Cardinals.
What's that feeling like being able to watch one of your teams have such a strong run in a tournament?
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, now for me, it's a little bit different. I coached basketball for 16 years at the Division three for 3 years, and then Division one for 13 years. I was fortunate to be part of an NCAA tournament in 2008 at Mount St. Mary's University. Now to watch both our men and women here at Catholic in back-to-back years go to the NCAA tournament, that part has been fantastic for me. And then to see what Coach Kelly and the men's team did, making the Elite Eight, I thought that it gives me such excitement, such joy to watch those kids get that opportunity to compete at the highest level. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and we had a couple, especially that Roanoke game down 19, and to come back, just the toughness we showed, and but there's a lot of tense moments there. So I was feeling it just probably a little bit more than Coach Kelly was.
How much do you miss being on the bench?
I miss it. I mean, there's the thrill of competition, the excitement, like coaching up the players. Like, I mean, what I miss is the locker room, the bus rides, the hotels, like, and just the relationship building that goes in with your student athletes, with your players, and then also, I had the opportunity to be on opposite ends of the bench with against Roy Williams, against Jim Boeheim, against some of these others, and it was just that part was pretty cool too. But I wouldn't be in any other place. I love being the athletic director here at Catholic University. It's we have such unbelievable coaches, such unbelievable student athletes. I get an opportunity what I call coach the coaches, and so I really get that relationship building fix through that. And look, I still coach a little bit. I got a 14-year-old and an 8-year-old daughter, and I coach them a little bit. So I still get my fix in on the bench.
Actually put the sneakers on and actually play the game.
I play a little. I've been playing a little pickup game on Monday and Thursday nights when I can. It's been the last month. I haven't been able to get out there, but I was pretty steady for about 5 6 months. So I still love competing. And sometimes when you come to a Catholic University game, you may see me out there doing a knockout game with the students at halftime, or maybe shooting little half court shots just to get them involved a little bit.
How has your game changed over the years? Are you still like, were you a jump shooter, more of a slasher, or a bit of both?
I was a face up four before there were face up fours. Like, I played at St. Mary's College in Southern Maryland from 95 to 99. And, I guarded fours, and I played the three on the offensive end. So, I was a jump shooter. I was not good off the bounce, and I couldn't guard anybody off the bounce. So, we had to be strategic where they placed me defensively, but I could shoot that thing, and pretty good passer. But now I'm a 3 and D guy. Like, I shoot a lot of threes in those pickup games, and then I try to do my best on help side defense. So that's about the extent of my game right now.
Having a 14-year-old, have you been tried yet? Like the the thought that your kids could beat dad now, or is dad still the man in the house as far as
Uh,
being able to win the game?
you know what? My 14-year-old daughter, she's a competitive, just like her dad. She's gotten me once or twice, legit, just because I was, a little banged up. But when I really sit down and, guard her, she has no shot yet. So, but we're working on her competitiveness, and she's getting after it. So it's fun watching her development. I have such a great time, like, just she came to the game in fifth grade, so a little bit later than a lot of kids, and so just watching her development has been so much fun for me. Like, just the big steps she takes, even some of the smaller steps. So it's fun.
When you look at the enrollment cliff, it's been a hot button topic in college athletics for a while. Are we there yet, Or do you think that we're at the beginning and seeing the cliff start to take shape?
I think we're at the beginning of it. I think it's starting to realize itself. Um, a little bit last year. I think the FAFSA had some issues, had some had some a role to play in starting starting that enrollment demise a little bit earlier. It's coming though, and you gotta figure out what differentiates yourself in the marketplace. And I think at Catholic we offer especially Catholic athletics, we offer, you know, high level elite Division III athletics, great academics at our university. We're located in the heart of one of the most powerful cities in the world, in DC, and then our faith-based mission is a differentiator as well. So, but it's still gonna be hard to navigate. I mean, every institution of higher ed right now is figuring out how do they best position themselves in a marketplace that's going to have 8% fewer, high school graduates. And so, how do you position yourself in that in a way that you're still attractive and you give great value in terms of the academics and also the outcomes after graduation?
What strategies have you implemented at Catholic to enhance the student athlete experience?
Two big ones that we did. So I got the job about 2 years ago. Two big ones we did. We brought on a director of sports performance. So having a dedicated coach for our strength and conditioning programs and not having that lay at the hands of the coaches. I thought that was a big one. We're already starting to see some of the reverberations of that. He started in August of this year, and the competitive level, the size and the speed of our athletes is increasing. So that was a big one. The other one was we're reaching out to our donors and getting them to invest in a fueling station for our athletes and really improving the nutrition options in our athletic building was big. So we have the bird feeder. It's been live since August as well, and I think that's been a huge one. And then just the culture that we're trying to develop in terms of bringing energy, having fun, making sure we celebrate all of our successes and that we're there for our student athletes when they have their tough times. And I think that we've done a good job. We've had some big mental health initiatives. Like we were one of the first athletic departments to get to have all of our coaches and administrators go through the mental health first aid project. So that's something that all Division III colleges are going to be going through over the next couple of years. We were at the forefront of that. So those type of things I think have positioned ourselves well to give that high level student athlete experience that young people are expecting when they come to college.
As a former player and a former coach, you had to be on both sides of difficult conversations. How has being a player and coach helped you with having those conversations as an AD?
I think it helps tremendously. I really do because I think the coaches know that I've been in those locker rooms. I've had to have some of those tough conversations with the student athletes that they're having, and I've also been on the side, when it comes to budget management and those type of things. Like so, when we're having those conversations, they know that I understand it from a coach's perspective and how a coach sees it. So we're able to have those conversations and be very transparent, be very open. I can be like, hey, this is this is how we approached it when I was a coach. I think you might want to look at that, and they appreciate that perspective. I think also my time as a student athlete has helped me, and I remember that time, and it was a very important time in my life. I remember that, and I want to make sure that our student athletes get that same level of support and care and understanding of what they're going through. Like there are so many ups and downs. As a player, I came in, I started my first 2 years in college, and then the coach recruited over me, and I didn't play as much my junior and senior year, and so I can have those conversations with our student athletes that go through similar things. I can help our coaches understand that perspective when they have to have that difficult conversation with a member of their program where they're like, hey, you're getting passed. And here are the things that you can do to make sure you don't get passed, but it's coming and we're going to have some tough conversations.
Currently, what are your biggest challenges in recruiting coaches in this environment?
I think salaries. I mean, salaries are a big deal. Like especially in a city like Washington D.C. where the cost of living is very high. We have coaches spread out across the DMV in terms of where they're living. I think that that's one of my biggest challenges is how do I attract and retain the top talent in Division III athletics? And I think we have an unbelievable group of coaches currently at Catholic University, and it's my job to keep them here. And I'm finding different and unique ways, working with our donors, working with some key constituents to help alleviate some of those salary issues. But it's still probably our biggest challenge. I think the other one is too just the nature of higher ed right now. Most schools are looking at their budgets and making tough decisions on making cuts and those type of things. And how do we keep ourselves from getting cut like that? So that's been a bit of an issue as well.
How do you measure the success of your department that goes beyond wins and losses?
I look at our culture. I think measuring our culture and looking at how connected our coaches are to our student athletes are to one another. How's our staff connected to our coaches and to our student athletes? And that's a tough thing to quantify. It's a very tough thing to quantify. That requires being present, requires being around each of the different programs. We have 700 student athletes at Catholic University. We have 25 athletic programs. Like what that requires a lot. But I also have not only do we have great coaches, I have a great support staff. I have 5 associate and assistant athletic directors that are just high level people, and they do a great job of keeping me abreast of what's going on in a variety of programs. So I think that's kind of how I measure it. And I talk to our student athletes. I talk to them a lot, and like, hey, how are things going? Like, what's going on? How can we get better? And those type of things. And then from a more subjective or objective thing is we look at how we're doing in the Learfield Directors Cup standings. Like, how are we doing in getting competing for NCAA championships? Like, because I think yes, that is indicative of competitiveness and wins and losses, but that's indicative of culture too. Like, are you getting people to the point where they want to compete at the highest level? That is the expectation, and so that is another way that I can measure how we're doing as an athletic department.
One of the toughest aspects of athletics administration is fundraising, but yet you have managed to succeed where others may find it extremely challenging. What is your mindset and approach to being able to generate those sort of funds?
Well, I think it's being very clear in our expectations with our coaches. From day one, when I got here, I challenged our coaches to be gift officers, because that's who the alums, the parents, the donors want to hear from are the coaches, and I got to arm them with the tools so that they could be successful in fundraising, and then also allow our dedicated fundraisers to do their job too. So that's been a big piece of it. Having been an associate AD for advancement at Mount St. Mary's University for 8 years prior to getting this job, I had a lot of, I went through the ups and downs in the back, of fundraising. I kind of learned a lot through that, and it's really helped me in this position to, lay out what our needs are, what are we trying to accomplish, and that we are trying to be one of the elite athletic departments in all of Division III, and that's really rallied our alumni base, our donors behind that. And I think that's what has enabled us to be successful. And also, our coaches grabbed onto that idea about being a gift officer, knowing that if they want to give a high level student athlete experience, they have to raise dollars. And that's part of the college landscape now. I don't care if you're at Alabama or if you're, at the, a lower Division III school. You have to be able to raise dollars. And as a coach, you have to be armed with your top priorities. When someone says, hey, how can I help? You have those 3 or 4 things that you right out your pocket, that you're like, hey, these 3 things will help us become a better program. And I think our coaches have grasped onto that, and they do a great job of it.
What makes the Landmark such a competitive conference?
Oh man, Landmark has been great. Like, I think when you look at teams like Scranton, you look at Susquehanna, you look at Elizabethtown, Moravian. I mean, these are some really good athletic programs, led by some incredible ADs with great coaching staffs as well. You look at the job that Nikki Ayers did at Juniata, and back to back volleyball national championships. Like it's just it's a great group of athletic directors who have great coaches, great staffs, and then our leader Katie Boldvich as commissioner of the Landmark. She's been phenomenal. She's a forward-thinking commissioner. She's always asking us to push the bounds of things. You see that with the Flow Sports deal that we did. You see that with the some of the championships that we've done in some cool places. We're about to do our baseball championship at a minor league park in Lancaster in the spring. Like we do the things at the Palestra to bring notoriety. We have our basketball day at the Palestra for the last 4 years. Like that's Katie's vision, that's Katie's leadership, and then what the leadership of the other athletic directors have done in hiring really good coaches, keeping it at the competitive level. I mean, you saw, look, Scranton's women's basketball team going to an Elite Eight back-to-back years. Like, we had two teams from the Landmark in men's basketball for the first time in 8 years. Like, what Susquehanna did football, going to the Final Four. Like, just that's the type of competitiveness we have in the Landmark. It's such a good, fun conference to be part of. I wish we weren't the southernmost school in the league from a budgetary perspective, but nonetheless, it's a fun league, it's a competitive league, and it's getting better and better each year.
As if you can take the coach hat off for a second, just being a fan, what is your favorite March Madness moment? The one moment you're like, you know what, this is why I'm a fan.
Woo! Man, that's a tough question, Terrence, because I've watched every March Madness since I was like 5 years old. Man, oh man. I'm a big Tar Heel fan, but I think like one of the best moments though was against the Tar Heels when Chris Jenkins from Villanova hit that 3-pointer. Like, and I just was like, oh, like it was a killer, but it was such a good moment. And I had coached, I coached at Mouse Mary's, coached at Holy Cross. We recruited the DMV heavily, and I'd seen Chris play a lot, and just knowing the young man that he is, and he hit that shot, I mean, but that's what March Madness is all about. Like Marcus Page hits that fall away, 3-pointer leaning in, and then Chris comes back down and drills a three. I'm like, as much as a Carolina fan that I was, I just had to appreciate the high level of play that was for a March Madness moment. It was high level. Now, I will say for me personally, we got our butts kicked by North Carolina in 2008 when they had Tyler Hansborough and Tywan Lawson and Wayne Ellington, Danny Green. But being in Raleigh, playing against that team, having Roy Williams on the other end, that was one of my highlights as from March Madness, being able to be a part of it. So that was fun.
I remember the game, the one you mentioned of the Villanova game. I remember sitting there. My daughter had I don't think she was one yet. Nope, she may not have been one. So I'm sitting there, and Paige hits the three. I thought, you know what? Guard the inbound just in case. Why don't you guard the inbound? Oh no. Oh,
I
oh,
know. Oh, like it was a killer. Like, and he comes down and he stepped right into that thing. Like he just, but give Jay Wright a lot of credit. He dialed it up, like, knew what they were going to do and, dialed it up appropriately. So that was, yeah, as much as it went against our Tar Heels, like, it's like, oh man, like, holy cow.
I guess my favorite memory would be being about, I wasn't quite 19 yet, so I was still young and managed to work enough to be able to go and get a ticket to the Final Four. Like saved up, worked, and there I am at the top of the Superdome, like way looking down. I'm afraid of heights, but yet Chris Webber calls a timeout. I look at my,
Oh,
we're about to win, and just being a Tar Heel fan, just greatest
that's
sports moment ever.
That is awesome. I was probably a little bit younger than you at that time, but I remember, I was in my boy's house, like, and that happened. I was like, we're gonna win, like Dean Smith, like, let's go, like, yes, awesome,
That
awesome.
was the moment. Now, being in and around DC, where's your favorite place to eat and what's on your plate?
All right, so I live in Crofton, Maryland, and so I haven't ventured into DC a whole lot for eating. We have a place around us called Nona Angelo's that's a nice little Italian spot, like right there. It's just in a nice strip mall, whatever. But they have a phenomenal chicken parm. that I will put up against anybody. That so that's probably what's on my plate. But I mean, there's awesome places to eat around DC. If you get Union Market, you got some some of these places that are just fantastic. But I usually stick around the Crofton Annapolis area for going out to eat.
He is the director of athletics for Catholic University, Kevin Robinson. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the AdDrop Podcast.
Terrence, thank you very much for having me on. Really appreciate it. This was awesome.